Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Lana Kay. Let me ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever felt like that you were in a rut and you were just too drained to climb out of it? Or have you ever felt like, well, life is okay, but it could be a whole lot better? Well, then you're in luck, because our guest on today's show is a professional life coach, and she is trained to help us reach our dreams. Please welcome to the program, Polly Giblin. Welcome to the program, Polly.
Thank you, Lana. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, I ran across Polly as I was going through one of my favorite publications, the Whole Living Journal. This is a free publication. You can pick it up at many grocery stores, the library, right here in Florence, and it's just a great publication. So, Polly wrote a fabulous article that really piqued my imagination. It is The Power of Passion. And I thought, wow, what a great power. So as I read it, Polly, I noticed that you first started out by you attended a convention.
Yes.
The Best Life Convention.
It was a conference that was put on by Tara Robinson. She is the editor of the Whole Living Journal, and it was called Live Your Best Life.
Yes.
And I attended it because I'm always interested in self-improvement opportunities. Plus, I really love Tara, and I wanted to support the magazine and the event. And it was an amazing event. I had such a great time, but I also know from my own experience that after I go to something like that,
Well, tell us
tricky.
That's right, because there were a few great speakers, and one of them said that he had bicycled many, many miles and to reach the ocean, and that was his goal.
Right, because he had never seen the ocean. He was 17 years old, he'd never seen it. He thought, that's what I want to do, I want to go see the ocean. So him and some friends got on their bicycles, and they went all the way to the East Coast to see the ocean.
The point is, he attained his goal.
Yes.
And then you ask in the article, so what is your ocean? And that's the question that Polly's is asking us. What is your ocean? What is your passion? And so then, when you got back, after listening to a few of these other great speakers talk on their topics, you realize when you get back, though, it's tough to hold on to that.
Yes, especially if we attend an event like that by ourselves, because no one else in our life is aware of this new information and this new motivation that we have about our dreams and our goals. And so what happens is we'll take our notes oftentimes and put them in the filing cabinet, and then we never see them again until the next conference when we put our notes in the same file.
Right, we're all revved up, we're there, yay, we're going to go do it. But when we get home, there is supper to fix.
Yes.
There are kids to take care of, there is our job, there is laundry, and then somehow it all gets put on the back burner.
Right.
So you say, it's just tough to stay on course, but you say, how do we keep these tender new ideas alive until they take root in our lives? And I thought taking root meaning becoming a part of us?
Yes, it's the vision that I was trying to use is like a plant. We have this tiny little shoot of a plant, in this case an idea or a spark of something. And a lot of times if it's not nurtured, like a plant, we have to water it, we have to care for it, we have to weed it. And new ideas are no different. How are we going to nurture these new ideas and keep them at the forefront of our lives? Because it's so much easier to fall back in the habit.
Our old habit.
Yes, our old habit, because all of the other people in our lives know us in a certain role. And that's why it's so easy, because they're still treating us the same as they always have, even though inside we feel different.
We feel different, but
Yes.
they don't understand it.
Exactly.
So you say the secret word is passion, and I even looked that up. And in case you don't know, it's a powerful, compelling emotion, is passion. And this is the fuel that's needed to help keep us on track.
Yes.
To keep us going forward.
Yes.
If we're not feeling passionate, now, you say, many people say, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about, and you tend to disagree with that.
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Okay, that's what you said in the article, so tell us why.
Sure. Oftentimes we think that if we know what we're passionate about, that's what we would be doing to earn a living. Like I'm passionate about being a fireman, or I'm passionate about being a gardener, or we think that if that passion was known to us, then inevitably that would be our work, and it's just not true. There are so many things, there's an infinite number of things that people can be passionate about, And what's most important is that we participate in those activities, even if they have nothing to do with our work and how we earn a living, because when we let ourselves feel that feeling, that powerful emotion, it affects how we go into the world and how we interact with other people. And if we love to dance, it doesn't matter that we're not going to be on Broadway. It doesn't matter that we're not a Rockette.
That's right.
Dance. Let that feeling flow through you, because as you go out and you meet people and interact with them, and even as you go to your job, it'll make a huge difference if you show up full of passion versus depleted. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, what
Exactly.
Okay, so I thought this was so good, Polly. You said in the article, your passion doesn't have to be significant to anyone but you.
Yes.
That is so important, because a lot of times we say, you know, we need to really target that. What's important to you? It doesn't matter what anybody else, if they can't see it, as long as we see it. Another great point you made was we get the equation backwards. Once we are pursuing our life purposes and living our best lives, we'll be able to feel the passion. You say, no, no, no. You must feel the passion to get there.
Right.
To have that best life.
Right.
And that's very hard to understand, because they think, oh, I'll get it then, I'll get this passion. The passion's going to take you there.
Yes. Exactly. That's the fuel. I use the term over and over again, that the fuel that we need to persevere and to overcome the inevitable obstacles. Even if we knew exactly what our life purpose was and exactly what we're passionate about, we're still going to encounter obstacles, because life happens.
That's right. Life has obstacles.
It doesn't mean that we were pursuing the wrong goal or that we're not supposed to be doing what we're doing. It just means there's different things that we have to
Come
deal
up.
with. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, one of the biggest obstacles you say in pursuing our passion is, what will people think of me?
Mhm.
But what will people say? And so
Yep.
that brings us to the screeching halt. So
Sure.
address that, Polly, because it's so important.
It is, and, well, have you ever had something that you wanted to pursue in your life?
I
that
worried
was a
about the show,
Okay.
and what would people think? You know,
Mhm.
what would they accept this? So what would they think about me taking this giant step?
Sure.
And so, yes, I did. I worried a little, but that never really has bothered me. Like, I know it keeps a lot of people stuck.
Yes, it can keep them afraid for a very long time. Some people, their entire lives, they die with their music still within them.
That's
Yeah,
really
it's a very
sad.
common quote, and they never take that leap of faith. And the ironic thing is, everyone is worrying that same thing. So just as much as I might be worrying about what you think of what I'm pursuing, you're probably just as worried about what I'm thinking about what
That's
you
right.
want to
So
pursue.
so you say that our ability to live passionately is limited only by our level of commitment.
Mhm.
And so then once we get committed,
Yes.
and once we really don't care what people are going to say or think, once we get committed to it, that's a big breakthrough, is the
Yes.
commitment.
Absolutely, because when we think about just the universe as it works, when we plant a stake in the ground through commitment and say, this is my goal, this is what I'm pursuing, things in our life start to shift. It's almost like we engage the gears of the universe to conspire in our favor. Because now the universe knows exactly what we want.
That
It's
is
no longer vague, like, oh, someday,
maybe if I get real lucky.
No, it is, this is going to happen, I don't know how, I don't know when, but this
This
is
is-
absolutely going to happen.
Now, you say take time to remember what you're passionate about and then weave it into your life.
Mhm.
And I think that takes off a lot of pressure, Polly, because we're not making that black to white jump. We
Right.
are gradually
Yep.
weaving this passion into our life.
Right, and it can be the strangest of things. I mean, I talk about it's not the activity itself that matters, it's the feeling that it creates, because my mom loves to clean. She loves it. It's a huge passion of hers, and for me a little bit, not so much. But there are certain aspects, like I enjoy cutting the grass. I love to see the before and after.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like, who would think, who's passionate about cutting the grass? I
But
really enjoy
but
it.
you like it.
Exactly, and that's the important thing, is that it may seem weird, and I don't get paid to cut the grass, and it's not part of my career path, but
It gives you great
yes,
satisfaction.
it nourishes a certain part of me, and that's the only thing matters. That's what makes it so important.
It creates inside of you that's what matters.
Yes.
How you're feeling.
Yes.
Okay, now what would you just say, Polly? Because you have coach people.
Mhm.
What percentage of us just, would you say really are there? Where they're really pursuing their best, they're really there. They've reached their best life and they're very happy.
On a consistent basis?
Yes.
I would guess maybe 20 to 25%.
Really?
Part of it is the giving ourselves the permission to do it. Because sometimes people see it as a very selfish thing. Like, oh, well, I really shouldn't take this time for myself because either my kids need something or my
spouse
family needs something. Exactly.
Or somebody needs me.
I should be cleaning the house, or I should be doing all this other stuff. When actually, when we create our best life and we feel full, then we have so much more to give people. We bring a different quality of experience to everything we do. So instead of showing up depleted, we show up fully engaged and ready and willing, and we
energetic.
Exactly. And it's not resentful that we have to do stuff. We're happy to offer it because we have so much to give.
I understand. Okay, so let's start to just the coaching part.
Okay.
So tell us what life coaching is.
Okay. Life coaching, it's a co-creation of a relationship between the coach and the client. And for people who know that their lives are doing pretty well, but they'd like them to be different, one of the most common descriptions is it helps you get from where you are to where you want to be. And because a lot of times we don't know how to get there.
Right.
Even when we're clear about what we want, we're not sure about the step-by-step process on how to do it. So what a coaching relationship does is it allows that person to put their goal on the forefront and keep it there. They talk to the coach can help them really come up with what's the next best step and hold them accountable to that. The accountability is one of the biggest functions of a coaching relationship.
I see that, because it's so easy, like you said, again, to say, I just can't, where you're going to motivate them on, and I know you'd be great at. Here are some of the questions that, I've had a problem or challenge that's been around for too long, but I've never managed to sort it out. Polly, I have a pressing issue to resolve, but I don't know where to start. Things are okay, as I said at the beginning of the show, but they could be a whole lot better. I'm in a rut and I feel too drained to get out. I've lost my direction. This is where, Polly, think about some of those things, and this is where, when you make that relationship with your coach, that she is able to help you. And again, I think it's so important, Polly, because somewhere in your article, Polly gave me some food for thought. At work, we're a little embarrassed sometimes with our colleagues, so we don't want them to know that we're pursuing something else. That could be a bad move.
Yes,
that
it
could be
could.
not good. With our family, like you said, our family sees us in a role.
Yes.
And when we try to step out of that, it makes them uncomfortable many times, or they just don't understand.
Right.
They just really don't get it.
They may not have a clue why you're so unhappy. You have a great job, you seem to have a great family, what's the problem? But you might not feel the same way about it.
That's right, because there are people, and I have seen this with friends and just knowing a lot of people, there are people that are happy to be, they're complacent. They are really happy. They don't want to try new things.
Right.
They don't aspire to the things that risk takers do.
Yes.
So therefore, they really don't get it. It's
Well,
like you just said.
Sure.
Well, what's your problem?
Right.
You have all the this, and this, so hey.
Yeah. And it's totally fine for people who have no aspirations for anything greater. That's great. They don't need the kind of help that a life coach can offer. But for those who do want more,
then there's where the coach comes in to help you keep. So the benefits of having a coach are many, Polly. It'll just give you so much more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, the accountability, I've heard from so many clients when they say, this would never have gotten done if I didn't know for sure you were going to ask me about it at this appointment. Because we make appointments with other people that generally we keep, because those are important and someone else is relying on us to show up at a certain date and a certain time. But quite often the appointments we make with ourselves, or, oh yeah, I really want to make this goal happen, but there isn't going to be anyone asking about it or checking up on it or, oh, how's that going? And those are the kind that easily slip away because there just wasn't anything significant attached to it.
Okay, so at the first meeting between you and the client, is
Mhm.
that where you established, is this where they kind of pour it out to you, this is where I'm at, but I'm not happy, and this is where I want to be?
Yes.
And so there, you established this outline of sorts to, what this person's aspiring to.
Yes.
Then either through phone conversations or could you have in-person meetings?
It can be done either way. Most
Okay.
coaches work over the telephone. One of my coaches was in Denver, Colorado, so it doesn't have to be in person at all. But a client will come to coaching because they have a specific goal. Now, it may change in the course of the coaching, or after they achieve that goal, then there may be the next one in line.
Higher.
Exactly. And within that goal, things come up. It's called life coaching. It's not called goal coaching.
Right.
Because in the
Life is
pursuit of a
life.
goal, exactly, in the pursuit of that goal, sometimes situations change or priorities change. And then the client will come to an appointment. I know with my own coach, I've come to appointments before originally with one agenda that I sent her earlier in the day, and by the time I get to the appointment, it's completely changed because of events in my life. And now we talk about something completely different because it is life.
It is life, and it came
Yes.
up, and this
Mhm.
was pressing, but now this is more pressing.
Right.
Or I need to address this.
Yes, it's a much more immediate priority.
Okay, now what if the client says, I won't, or I can't, you're pushing me too hard? I'm sure you've heard this, when they
Sure.
resist it. What do you do with resistance?
When a coach presents homework or field work to a client, they always have the choice of saying yes, no, or renegotiating.
Okay.
So if a client says, well, I agree to talk to 2 people this week regarding my new invention, and a coach might say, well, what about 5? If 2 is going to be a little bit of a stretch, what about 5? And it just really helps the client think, well, I don't know about 5, but I'll commit to 4. So where they originally said 2,
Compromise.
yes,
Okay,
where
so
they
you-
originally said 2, now they're up to 4 because it's less than 5.
Okay.
Right, so it's always based on the client's agenda. That was one of the most important things they stressed to us in the coaches training. The client's agenda is what drives the relationship.
Yes, I
Yes.
can see that,
Mhm.
because like you said, life is life and things change.
Mhm.
Now, I want to just run this by you. I was
Sure.
taking a class with a gal who was a psychologist.
Okay.
And she lamented to me about how miserable she was, that schooling was much different than the client psychologist, the really working aspect of being a psychologist. And it just didn't work out. But she loved making or creating jewelry. And yet she was the major breadwinner in her household, and she was afraid to tell her husband because of the drop-off in
Sure,
salary
yes.
and money.
Yes.
And then her mother and father had worked very hard to put her through college. So there was all these background problems of letting people down.
Right.
And feeling so, I've got to keep doing this even though I'm miserable. So like how would you start working her out of that situation?
There's a number of ways that could be approached. One of the most common misconceptions is if only I were doing what I'm passionate about, my life would be perfect. And a passion will change once it becomes what you do to earn a living.
True.
It's no longer just a hobby. You no longer do it
True.
when you want to, for as long as you want to, or any way you want to. It's like, okay, now it's a money-generating endeavor. Now I have to, then there's all the tax implications. I mean, it becomes
That's
a much
right.
different activity. So in someone, in her case, for instance, hopefully she's participating in making the jewelry, even though it's not her primary source of income.
Well, she is.
Okay, good. Because there are ways that a person can start to test the waters. And knowing that the job that she has is not her ideal job, that is probably what gives her the opportunity
To make the jewelry.
to make the jewelry and participate in that, if she really wants to start to make that transition.
I told her cut down hours, try to, have enough to keep everything going, but maybe, allow more time.
Mhm.
You can schedule your own appointments there, so she had that
Right.
leeway. It wasn't like I'm at this 8 to 5.
Right.
Just maybe cut down and see. Okay, now Polly, do you feel great personal satisfaction seeing the people that will take the steps, move forward?
Yes.
You must feel
Oh.
terrific.
It's the best job I've ever had. I mean, I heard a
Rewarding.
gentleman on NPR one day, and he said, I would rather work with people than for people.
I
And
understand
it's just
that.
being able to work one-on-one and to see the changes that people are able to make and the courage that they display in the face of these fears that they have, that they'll take those steps, even if they're tiny ones. The fact that they're willing to do that, it never ceases to amaze me.
And I know for myself, when every time I've stepped out, I was more desperate, I guess. I was more, I guess it did get to desperate, for change.
Yes.
Than I was to stay stuck.
Yep.
I was so tired of being stuck that although it was incredibly scary and
Yes.
frightening, it was worth it.
Yes.
And I'm sure that people get to that point.
Yes, absolutely. And when I left my first job that I got when I first moved down here, one of my coworkers, he asked me, he said, "How did you do it? How did you find, how did you just get it together enough to leave?" Because obviously to leave a secure position for an unknown. And I told him, I said that the need for change finally became greater than the fear of failure.
That's a great way to put it. That's
It
what I
just-
tried to say.
Yeah, it just really, it reaches that tipping point, and then there's no turning back.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now in Polly's past life, she was a professional organizer, and she still has some of those clients with her, although she's
Sure.
a life coach now.
Mhm.
So I just want to ask you, how important is it that we have our life clean and organized, our space, to attain, to move forward?
Oh, I think it's very important, because our space allows us, or doesn't allow us, to pursue what it is we want to do outside the home. If a home is really crowded and cluttered, a lot of times people won't let friends or family visit. They don't entertain anymore because they don't want people to see the amount of clutter. And even the amount of clutter for one person could be overwhelming, and for someone else, it wouldn't even show up on their radar screen because
it's
they
like
have so
this-
much
I
more.
love it, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like when we see these big shows like the Hoarders, the big cable shows and that, I know you have told me, now I don't deal in those
Right,
big
that's-
when they pull in the semis and
Yes.
stuff, I'm out of there. But what is that, Polly? Is it just like they just went completely overboard now? And they're
That's-
so stuck?
That's usually an issue. There's something in their past. Those kinds of people generally end up seeing a therapist, because there's something that has happened in their past that creates this almost panicked need
To hold
to
on.
hold on to absolutely everything. To the point where getting rid of a matchbook in a house that's 3 feet deep of stuff is just traumatic. And so clearing out the house and not doing the therapeutic work, it wouldn't matter. The house would look exactly the same in 3 to 6 months' time.
Because there's a
Right,
bigger
exactly.
problem going on in
Yes.
there that's driving that.
Because their thought process hasn't changed.
Okay, and you say you can do that in little chunks, clean out our drawers, it doesn't have to be this big massive,
No.
get it, clean it all up.
No.
Steps, little steps,
Right.
moving forward.
What I always encourage people to do is start with an area that is easily visible, so that when you walk in the house, you see the fruits of your labor. You don't want to start inside a
To
drawer
inspire
because,
you.
exactly, because if you start inside a drawer somewhere, then every time you walk in, you can't see that you spent 3 hours on this drawer. When you open the drawer, you can, but it's a much bigger impact if it's
That is so
visible.
good,
Mhm.
to start on visible places
Yes.
and start small. But it really does make a huge, you're recommending, please, please, please get out your clutter to pursue your best life.
Absolutely.
Please address it.
Because what it does is, our clutter represents our past. And what we're trying to do, and what I work with clients is, who are you today? And what is it that you want to pursue from this point moving forward? So it's a physical form of life coaching. It really helps them look at their environment and say,
Differently.
who am I and how do I want to be?
Well, Polly, we're almost out of time, and would you like to add anything to our viewers to inspire them?
I just always like to encourage people that self-care is different than being selfish, and that the best thing that we can do for our friends and our family is to take as good a care of ourselves as we possibly can, because it translates into every aspect of our lives, and not just the people we know, but also the people that we don't know are positively affected when we are at our best.
Oh, that's excellent advice. You've been listening to Polly Giblin today. Her information will appear at the end of our show, and I hope you've learned as much as I have. And as always, be happy and keep smiling, and I'll see you soon.